Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, if you followed football last season, there is one name that you should have come across a couple of times and you failed to pronounce it. That name is Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. He's one of the top exciting wingers and forwards in world football right now. He had a sensational season with Napoli, helping them to go on and win the Scudetto for the very first time in so many years. Arsenal have been linked with Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, and on my thumbnail have just added signing of the summer. Why? Because in my opinion, that would be the signing of the summer if Arsenal did sign Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. In this video, I'm going to be diving into everything you need to know about the deal. It's definitely not happening, is it? But I'm very excited about Khvicha because I like him as a player and I've followed him right for the last 300 days. Yeah, that is a lot of research, isn't it? But what I like about him actually is one of the players that I think football has lost. We've lost a lot of enthusiasm. We've lost a lot of quality and talent and flair in the game. You look at that Arsenal side, most of the players are very good at dribbling and passing and breaking play. We really don't have one player that you're really excited to watch the way you would be excited to watch maybe Dennis Parker, maybe Thierry Henry, probably Alexander Hileb or Santi Cazorla. So that is why I would like a player like Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. But it's a very difficult deal to do. And of course, we know Napoli and Aurelio De Laurentiis, that is not a duo you want to mess with, especially with only 2 weeks to the beginning of the season. But I would love your thoughts and I would love your opinions in the comment box below. Would you love Arsenal to invest over 100 million in a super winger, in a player that guarantees you bodies out of the way, guarantees you entertainment, and in my opinion, he's definitely an upgrade on Trossard and an upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli. But it comes with huge repercussions. But we're going to be diving into all the information that you need to know about this guy because he's one of the really interesting wingers the world of football is having on their books right now. Now, just a simple profile guide. He's a 22-year-old Georgian footballer. He plays for Georgia. He's not actually shifted his nationality, which is actually very interesting. So he's one of those once in a while, once in a lifetime, players that play for that kind of weird footballing nation, right? Erling Haaland for Norway, Martin Odegaard for Norway. I think you'll think about, the likes of, Ferenc Puskás for Hungary. Probably Hungary were not as weak as they are now, but you understand the point. Dominik Szoboszlai for Hungary. So he's one of those rare talents in a country that is used to rare footballing talents, okay? So 20-year-old, he had a very exciting campaign last season with Napoli, where they won the Scudetto for the very first time. 12 goals and 10 assists. That is 22 goal contributions in his first season ever in Europe. And Napoli were literally cruising in that season. We might have talked about Victor Osimhen. We might have talked about Kim Min-jae at Napoli, but there was that guy that was making things happen every single time. I would compare him to one player in Europe right now, and that is Rafael Leao at AC Milan, with the ability to make things happen right from scratch. Now, the information and the story is that Arsenal are interested in signing Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. Of course, we are, aren't we? We are literally interested in signing each and every one. But this is a summer we have actually done less rumors than fact. The reason is, well, people on the channel decided that we should save a lot and we should go with more of the deals that have been confirmed and more of the players that have been confirmed to be really of interest to Arsenal rather than the rumors. Why I've chosen to react to Khvicha Kvaratskelia's deal is he's one of the players that the world should be watching in the next 3 years. Napoli are so lucky to have him because they signed him for less than 30 million euros. And right now, one season into his contract, his price has actually skyrocketed. His market value has skyrocketed to the hundreds of millions. So are Arsenal interested? We know Arsenal are interested in signing a new winger. We want a player who can compete with Bukayo Saka. We want a player who can bring that extra kind of competition on the right-hand side, but also on the left-hand side as well. With Leandro Trossard now being a little bit narrowed into that role where Granit Xhaka has been playing to rival Kai Havertz and Emil Smith-Rowe, you expect a lot of competition to come in through the door. On the left-hand side, I don't think Reece Nelson is going to give you that huge competition for Gabriel Martinelli, and I don't think Bukayo Saka is going to be backed enough by the presence of Reece Nelson. So I still think Arsenal will sign one more player, probably not on the left, but more predominantly on the right-hand side. And that player could be Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. So when you look at his profile, he's very similar to Moussa Diaby. He's very, very similar to Rafael Leao. Like I say, there is one player I will compare him to. I'm not saying he's one of the best. I'm not saying that them two the best in the world. What I'm trying to say is they have that little club, that little cult, that little association that has decided they will go and change a game by themselves. Like, when was the last time Arsenal had a player that had the ability to change a game by himself? Alexis Sanchez, as far as I remember, was the last player. I think Alexis Sanchez was the last player Arsenal have signed, and you're sure if it is 1-1 and you need one goal and he can dribble from right from the center line to goal and finish with precision, and you're really, really convinced he will do it, I think he was the guy. So Kavicha Kvaratskhelia is in that bracket. Same with Rafael Leao. If you've watched AC Milan for quite some time, they are in that bracket, and it's the one thing they have over players like Federico Chiesa. It's the one thing they have over players like Kylian Mbappe. It's the one thing they have over players like, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. Because whereas all these other players are team players and they thrive when the team is actually thriving very well, Kavicha Kvaratskhelia and Rafael Leao do have that ability to go and create something different. The same as Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid. So the rumor definitely comes in from a source that is not as strong. We know Italian sources with leaking players to everywhere. So I'm not going to say Arsenal are 100% going to die on this signing, but I won't be surprised if it comes out later in the season or later in the January transfer window that Arsenal want to focus on a player like Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. So what he would bring to Arsenal, apart from the profile, because he's such a young player, you sign him right now for probably 100 million. His resale value is still high. I think he's one of those players that can break the transfer market record. If Kylian Mbappe does not break that 222 million euro transfer record, I won't be surprised if a crazy team signs Rafael Leao or Kvaratskhelia for around 230 million euros. So why I want him at Arsenal, and why I think it would be such a very good signing. Individual brilliance, number one. I think Arsenal need an entertainer. We do need an entertainer. And of course, football has actually moved on to a very different shape, a very different stage. We are actually not looking at we are not looking at players that have a lot to offer in terms of beating players, providing flair and entertainment. Players have become more role bound, and roles have actually become more specific in football. So literally, you look at a player like Martin Odegaard, there is definitely a lot to offer in his game, but he prefers to concentrate on picking up the ball and finding that final pass, and then also arriving in that path in the final third. That is literally his game. That is his role. And you actually don't understand how good Martin Odegaard is until you go and watch him when he was still 15, 16, 17. It's the same with Bukayo Saka. It's the same with Gabriel Martinelli. These are players that do have a lot to offer, but in the systems where they're playing and in modern football, they're actually constrained by the roles that have been handed out by the managers. Why I would love a player like Kavicha Kvaratskhelia is he does all that. And you look at Napoli, they were one of the most exciting teams in Europe. They scored a lot of goals last season as well. against any opposition, be it Liverpool as well. But they were very lovely to watch. They were very, very entertaining. And the source of their entertainment was Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. So that is the one thing you would get. You would get a player who really scores a lot of goals from that left-hand side, probably right-hand side, because he's left-footed. He's got the ability to invert inside. You got a player who's very, very simplistic, actually. And this is really controversial and contradictory, because if he's so simplistic, then how is he entertaining? So he's very simplistic in ways that he's got that ability to watch and understand the space and pick the right pass and pick the right action depending on what is happening. So I've not seen him as a player who slows the team down. Usually players like Nani, players like Ronaldo, they had that effect on the team. Javino Yao Cossy, Nicola Pepe as well. They have that effect that because they love to do things their own way, because they want to offer something different, they will slow the team down to buy themselves some time to, do some scissors, do some extra bit of dribbling and all that. Kavicha Kvaratskhelia is not that. And that's why you look at his assist numbers and they're actually up. They're up on the scale. He's actually picking the right actions at the right time with the right players in the right spaces. So apart from the entertainment, the goals and the assists, why do I think this would be the signing of the summer? Number one, because I think if Madrid don't get Kylian Mbappe, they're going to sign Kavicha Kvaratskhelia. They've been heavily linked with him, and we know Real Madrid. They will be linked with a player this summer because they are going to try to sign him next summer. So I think if you sign a player who basically is going to be a Real Madrid player in the years to come, you've done very well. That is very good scouting. But why I think it is the signing of the summer, I think is the best player on the market right now. Now, we know Aurelio De Laurentiis is going to say 100 million or bust, okay? So, and I believe it is 99 to 100 million. However, Napoli have not done very well in terms of selling. Yes, they've been offered that crazy 130 million euros, I think 140 million euros by Saudi Arabia for Victor Osimhen, who has been offered 1 million per week. That could be the sell of the summer for them. But if Victor Osimhen turns down Saudi Arabia, I won't be surprised if they look to sell some players in the summer. Yes, they've sold Kim Min-jae, but I think they will need to do some more selling. They might need to do some more selling in this summer. So it's a deal that I think can happen. There's no pressure on Aurelio De Laurentiis. He can sell if he wants to and if the player wants to move. But if a player doesn't want the move, like we've been told, that he's actually angry with all the links away from the Diego Maradona, stadium, he's actually concentrating on another season in Naples. So if that is the case, then definitely you don't want to enter that race because you don't want to try to pull a player out of Napoli, yet he doesn't want to sign for you, because Napoli will use that as a very, very huge advantage to hype the price. So it must be that he wants to join, and that Aurelio De Laurentiis is also willing to negotiate. But it's one of those deals that would change the Premier League forever. I look back at the Premier League and I look at some of the deals that have actually changed the Premier League. The Thierry Henry deal changed the Premier League. Not only Arsenal, but the Premier League. Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Cristiano Ronaldo, Didier Drogba, I think Luis Suarez as well. I mean, Luis Suarez was sensational during his time at Liverpool as well. But Kavicha Kvaratskhelia would be in that bracket. He would be in that. In that bracket. I think Declan Rice would also be in that bracket. But the difference is that he's actually moved from one Premier League side to the other. But Arsenal would have got such a beautiful player. I like him a lot. I've watched him and I'm going to watch him again next season. I'm a big Milan fan. And when I tell you that Kavicha is better than Rafael Leao, you've got to believe. He's so talented. He's sensational. If Arsenal got him, we would have won the transfer window. There would be no debate. It's not about the amount of money we're spending. It would be about the quality we've brought in. We've brought in. But it's a deal that is not going to be done this summer. It's only around 30 days to the end of the transfer window. I don't see Arsenal flex for his signature, so strongly. But if we get it over the line, if we could get it over the line, whether in January or in the summer, it would be nice. It would be nice. One player that I think would definitely not sit on the bench, but he would transform Gabriel Martinelli. I still think Gabriel Martinelli has the ability to play as a striker, as a right winger, because he's right-footed, actually, and as a left winger, because that's where he plays. I still think if you brought in a player like Kvaratskhelia, you would really force Gabriel Martinelli to expand on his options, and it would make him a much better player. But I'll wait and see whatever comes out of this one, so don't expect me to report about this one again. That's why I did a completely isolated video on Kvaratskhelia. I like him, and he deserved a video. But the other player I will do a video about is Neymar. Actually, I will do a video about Neymar, I think, today, because one of the Arsenal legends, Gilberto Silva, actually thinks that the one piece to complete the Arsenal puzzle is Neymar. So we'll talk about Neymar as well. But I want your thoughts on Kvaratskhelia before we get into the Neymar dialogue.